and welcome to yet another edition of Sports here on P&B Television with me, Alhamdulillah Lawrence, and it was a eureka moment for Barcelona, who have just qualified to the Spanish Super League Super Cup final, beating Athletic Bilbao by 2-0. Of course, we're going to discuss that at the course of the show. And of course, it was also another devastating night yet for Liverpool, who lost to Tottenham Hotspur yesterday, equally by 1-0. A late goal for Tottenham edged them over Liverpool in the EFL Cup, of course, first leg. We'll be talking about that as well. But then, what is the fate of Nigerian football? Of course, a lot of talent, a lot of young players haven't seen their careers go nowhere, but, well, it's still not a hindrance somehow. They still have hope. But how is Nigeria's professional football league actually paving way for young generation of Nigerian footballers? We will be discussing that, of course, with a professional referee in the Nigerian Professional Football League. And, of course, I'll be having him as my guest on our voice call. Welcome to the show. Yeah, this is Alhamdulillah Lawrence. And when we get right back, we will be talking through the course of the show proper. Welcome and go nowhere. We'll be right back. Welcome right back, and of course, if you're just joining us, it's still P&B Sport with me, Alhamdulillah Lawrence. And of course, yesterday was a night that Bilbao will have to forget, and of course, an interesting one for FC Barcelona as they beat Athletic Bilbao Athletic Club by 2-0, courtesy of goals from young star 17-year-old Lamine Yamal, and of course, Gavi edged the Catalans over Bilbao. Now they have qualified for the UEFA Super Cup final, the UEFA Super Cup final, Spanish Super Cup final rather, and of course they will be waiting to see who their opponents are. Where will it be an El Clasico in the final? Well, we will find out as Real Madrid play their own semi-finals today by against Mallorca. Of course, it was such an exciting moment for these two young stars in Lamine Yamal and, of course, Gavi, who scored the 2 goals. Well, as Hansi Flick said, of course, just some moments after the match in this interview, he was talking about, of course, how important these two young stars are. Well, categorizing them as talented and, of course, matured in playing the game. And, of course, he added experienced as they are young, of course. Well, it's something that, well, it's quite, fascinating to see in these young stars, as he has added. And, of course, it's a very much important period of their careers in the international football, of course, helping Barcelona to beat Athletic Bilbao and edge to the final. Well, bringing back, of course, their recent memories, of course, especially for Lamine Yamal, who won the Euros, by the way. It was very much an exciting one for Flick to discuss that, of course, adding that, of course, Gavi equally is another young talent who was doing such a wonderful and tremendous gameplay in the football world at the moment. Of course, young stars to look up to, and of course, 17-year-old Lamine Yamal, always deemed a very perfect player, and of course, a very wonderful footballer, of course, deemed to be, well, one of the prospective young talents to watch out for in the football world. Well, we will see how he can be able to cope up with some pressures, and of course we believe he has that good mentality. Words of Hansi Flick, the FC Barcelona manager. And of course he wasn't surprised, by the way, by the talented young stars, and as they pull out their gaming experiences and of course their talent in the game. Of course, so we will probably see an El Clasico in the, of course, Spanish Super Cup final, where, well, Real Madrid will be playing later on today against Mallorca in the semi-finals. Could it be an El Clasico or not? We will find out, of course, through the course as the game is being played later on by the evening time. Of course, we will be taking you through on that, and of course, we will be keeping you posted regarding that as well in the course of our show, of course, tomorrow. And of course, moving ahead back to England, where we have some eureka moments for other clubs, and of course, some devastating ones. Of course, as we have all known, for yesterday, Arsenal were beaten by Newcastle United at the Emirates Stadium, by the way, by 2-0. It was such a bad night for Arsenal, for the Gunners, who were seemingly not really at their best during that game. Of course, goals from Alexander Isak and of course Gordon were the two goals that buried Arsenal at their own ground. Well, Arsenal had nothing to do. Well, Gabriel Martinelli hitting the post, but yet he couldn't get the ball past the net. Kai Havertz towards the last end of the game, had a free header, but it hit his shoulder and went on wide. Quite unfortunate for the Gunners. What is the real problem? Is Arteta already facing a lot of pressure to be ousted already? Arsenal fans have been talking about it lately, spending a lot of money, about £700 million, but still having a staggering team without a clinical striker. Of course, a lot of fans have been talking about it. A lot of fans have not been happy about it. A lot of fans want to see a striker in the team. Arsenal, of course, are relying on Kai Havertz, who is not naturally a striker, but, he's trying his best to put up to some course and getting some goals. Gabriel Jesus, though, came back from injury, scored 6 goals in 4 appearances for Arsenal. He's been trying his best lately, but that is not enough. We all know he's not that goal-scoring kind of striker, but rather someone who is involved in build-ups on most cases, as it may be. Well, he's still going to be a second leg session for Arsenal and Newcastle, but then Newcastle United having more advantage than Arsenal. Arsenal will be heading to St. Mary's Stadium. See how it could go out for them in the second leg. And of course, yesterday was another night for Tottenham Hotspur, who ended their 4 winless streak, by the way, and by beating Liverpool by 1-0. A late goal yesterday gave Postecoglou and his team an advantage over Liverpool at White Hart Lane. The next second leg, second tier of the game will be coming up at, of course, the Anfield, where Liverpool will still take on Tottenham Hotspur, and thereby the game will be decided at the end whether Liverpool or Tottenham will be heading towards the final. Tottenham Hotspur, by the way, were one of the best sides in the game, however, pulling up all strategies to see that they stop Liverpool, the fiery Liverpool, from scoring. Liverpool had some couple of chances too, but unfortunately they were not converted. Quite fortunate for the Tottenham, they converted their one chance and they got the goal and the ball rolling at the back of the net. So it's a big one for Tottenham Hotspur there, who beat Liverpool, the high-flying Liverpool at that moment. And so these are the two major talks. We'll be discussing, of course, as I've said earlier, about the Nigerian profession of footballing, how our young stars, those who are coming, can be integrated, and how is that really becoming a big opportunity for our young stars here in Nigeria. Do not forget, this is the top tier of football in Nigeria, and of course it's important that we give it all profound seriousness in all discussions. Of course, when we come right back, we will be discussing that with a professional referee, of course, in the Nigerian Professional Football League 2nd Division. Go nowhere, we will be right back. Welcome right back. And of course, we're trying to connect with, of course, the professional referee in the second division of the Nigerian Professional Football League. Unfortunately, we are experiencing a little glitch, but yet we will be just giving on a brief regarding that as well. Of course, the Nigerian Professional Football League, of course, as we know, is the top tier of the Nigerian football. Of course, well, a lot is going on, by the way, in the league. And of course, Rebel Stars, as we know, are at the top in the league table. Of course, in that regard, of course, some couple of surprises coming up for in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Of course, a lot of people have not expected Remo Stars, by the way, to actually be at the top of the league by this time. Of course, it's almost coming to an end, of course, the Nigerian Professional Football League, but yet the Remo Stars still have a lot to play for, because just 2 points separating them and the second tier place, and of course the third, just some few points between them, the first and the fourth, just 4 point gap between the sides that are involved in the first to the fourth position in the Nigerian Professional Football League. But as we all know, football in Nigeria, of course, in Africa generally, is something that is quite contrary to what we all know in other leagues, especially in international football in Europe and other leagues as well around the world. What is really the major problem concerning that? Well, a lot of people have been talking about the lack of investment by government and, of course, other bodies to be able to enhance football, especially for young people to be able to, get entangled and, of course, get something out for a living. Well, we've known that football lately is one of the biggest and, of course, greatest sports in the world. And, of course, a lot of people follow football. A lot of people are supporters of one club or the other, either Manchester United, Chelsea, Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and etc. It is really a big source of cohesion, especially social cohesion around the world. Football has always been a basic and an important tool in fostering that, but yet it has become something huge of a source of a significant income, especially to young people. Another means where one can venture into a career and be a professional in that field as well. Of course, we all know that football is engulfed with so much in it at the moment regarding the state of, financial criteria as well. Big money in football. Of course, we've seen what has happened in recent years from China that injected a lot of money to see that football is taken to another level, where we've seen the likes of Oscar, for example, who was a young star at Chelsea, and then later on, well, he had to move into China because, well, a lot of cash was involved in it. Well, we've seen the likes of, at the moment, Saudi Arabia, what they're doing, of course, bringing in top quality players. Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, who is in the top league. Well, he just made a statement recently that the Saudi League is actually now a bigger league than Italian Serie A. Well, that is his claim, and that is his opinion. We don't know how true is that. But the moment is that to tell you how football and other countries, other parts of the world are viewing football as a top business and something that one can really make out of. Well, we all know how much players earn in so many leagues, of course, in so many part of their clubs. £300,000 in a week for a football player. That is so much huge. But then the African context has always been a contrary state, especially when it comes to promoting football. Not just football, but rather in promoting sport. We've been talking and discussing about this in most, our recent shows, and of course in different stations, and of course in different kind of settings. What is really the big problem? Many young people have the talent, they have the gift, they can play the game, but they have been limited by the environment. What is the basic cause? Is it that it hasn't been prioritized? Is it that we have not seen the importance of it basically around? Well, that is one thing we would like to view then. Well, we'll try to see how we could bring in our guest as well, who is, of course, Mr. Philip, a professional footballer, football referee in the Nigerian Professional Football League, and, of course, we will want to hear from him, of course, briefly on the course of the show. But unfortunately, we are trying to reach out to Mr. Philip, even though we're experiencing some few network problems. But we try to see how we could connect with him. Just stay with us, and of course, we'll try to see how that could be rectified as we come back from this short break. Go nowhere, we'll be right back. Welcome right back. Still it's P&B Sports here on P&B Television with me, Alhamdulillah. Of course, we've been discussing some few of the actions that has taken place, of course, in some of the leagues around, of course, some of the league cups that have been played around. Of course, we're talking about particularly an important topic, which is subject to us, as a matter of fact, here in Africa and, of course, in Nigeria. And there's the fact that why is football not much really regarded in football, in Africa? And we're trying to bring in a professional referee who is in the second tier of the Nigerian Professional Football League, the second division. But unfortunately, we couldn't get to him, but we will try to see how we could bring him on up in our next edition of the sports show. And of course, well, some of the basic discussions has always been lack of regard to the sport, a lack of investment, most importantly, in the sports industry, especially when we're talking about football. We have a lot of youngsters who are talented footballers who are really great in playing football, who could do better and strive more better than other professional footballers we admire today. But unfortunately, they have been limited by the environment, which is, of course, a big factor, especially for them as young players, because most cases, young footballers will really want to see how they can be nurtured and then get to that level. But much concern must be given, as we all know, to football, to sport, in order to develop it as another means in which people can get their livelihood. As we just mentioned earlier, there is a lot of a great deal involved in football. There is a lot involved in football. There is big time money involved in football. A lot of our young stars are actually not even progressing in the game, even within the league in the country, like the Nigerian Professional Football League. Yeah, everything has been politicized. That's fact we cannot ignore. But then there should be a fair and, of course, a flexible medium where everybody who is talented can come in and, of course, be part of the progress, especially in terms of sport. This is something that should be looked at, especially the NFF, see how football can be upgraded, actually, to see that young people get their dreams actualized. We have a lot of young talent out there, but then most of them end up in a very awful and bad state that we would not even want our children to be part of. They become a problem to the country itself. Well, this is a very big hindrance, and this is a very big cause that should be looked at. See how that can be a medium to support other sectors, especially that are trying to see how young people can be incorporated within. Well, we have a lot to bring in some development for us, and I feel and I believe that sports especially is one of that very definite sectors that should be looked at. Of course, it's quite unfortunate we have run out of time, and of course, quite unfortunate we couldn't get our guests on the show. We apologize for that, but we will try to see how we could bring him in so we could get from a professional the course and how we could curb the issue and the situation of football degradation, especially in Africa. What are the causes? How can that be rectified? And as a professional referee, what have they seen that is much more important and needed to be given attention to, especially when developing football in Nigeria and, of course, in Africa? So we're going to call it a wrap from here. Thank you so much for your time. From me, I'm Lawrence, and the rest of the team is bye for now. We've got a lot to come for you on top of the hour. Thank you so much, and do have a lovely day.